you don't have to be in fear or be constantly, monitoring yourself about what can and can't be used against you. And it's about, for me, because I'm approaching it from like that whole work sense, it's about not like sense of belonging and kumbaya at work, but just feeling like you're part of that team, and it doesn't matter your background or your race or your sex. It's that you're part of that team and you're working towards a common goal, and everyone kind of values that diversity and doesn't see it as something that, oh, we're doing it as a tick box exercise or it's something to be tolerated. It's actually as a valuable thing to that organization or that team. One of the things that I always kind of say to anyone in the organizations when they're calling me in to do training or they're trying to understand how they can increase their diversity, especially in their talent pipeline, is, why are you doing this? Is it because you want to look like you're diverse? Is it because you want to create an impression? And I'm very candid and I will tell it as it is. But the tick boxing, I hate it, because what you can then ask a follow-up question is, so if there wasn't a business case for diversity, if there wasn't a business case for inclusion, would you do it? It needs to be less tick boxy, less performative, but actually a culture. I think we need to kind of scale back and stop, not even scale back, but move past the metrics and the numbers and really look at what kind of environment do we want to create. Because when you're in an organization where you feel like you belong, you're more productive, your well-being is enhanced, and you feel more a sense of loyalty to that organization, so you're less likely to leave, and you're more likely to kind of stick it out and do good for that business. Whereas opposed to if you're there and you feel a bit like it's not really quite right, or you feel a bit uncomfortable, and there's certain parts of yourself that you hide, you don't bring fully to work because you're afraid. Especially like me as a Black woman, I remember, this is one of the reasons why I do a lot of coaching around authenticity, because we're always monitoring ourselves. Like if you work with a Black woman in a corporate organization, 10 to 1, they're monitoring how they speak, what they say, because those things, it's always that perception that it's being judged. Similarly, if it's somebody that has a disability or a hidden disability, you never know. And it's just, when are we going to move past that? I actually don't know the answer to that, but I definitely agree that it shouldn't just be numbers. It shouldn't just be a tick box. It needs to be more of a conversation and not measured. What needs to kind of be embedded into the culture in that organization from the ground up, as well as being communicated from the top down. The reason why nothing happens is because they make these pledges to these wonderful, diversity statements, but there's no real talent strategy in place to attract the right kind of candidates, diverse candidates, and they're looking in the same places, and there's no innovation, and there's no kind of break from tradition. It's just, oh yes, we've got this amount of people, this amount of that group. Oh, we're diverse, we're wonderful, come and work for us. But actually, those people are being kept at a certain level, or they don't get to ever progress, so they leave. For me, at the moment, it's just conversations. I'm not seeing enough action, and we're having these conversations, they're saying these wonderful things to look less diverse. And there is people that are genuinely, passionate about this, and they want to have a change, they want to effect change. However, they're not in positions where they can make those decisions. So it has to come from the top. And what you find is that the kind of level below, they're talking about it and they're saying, this is what we want to change, this is what we want to do, this is what we want to attract. But then the leaders of that organization and the people that can make these decisions, they're not really on board. Only a few of them are, and the ones that are, you'll see completely different in how they recruit, how they develop their staff, how people get promoted. Whereas the other organizations, they're saying, you know, oh, we're committed to hiring. I'm sure you would have all seen those diversity statements with the kind of Black Lives Matter movements and the anti-racism protests, or we're committed to hiring XYZ amount of this people or that people, but actually that didn't translate into any real action. So it's moving, but very, very, very slow. And it's just, I'm impatient. So when will it go?
I'm so very impatient, and I'm with you, and I probably haven't been on this planet as long, so I'm still kind of got a lot of optimism for the future. But I think, and kind of looking at it a long game way, and I know we don't really have time, but it's kind of thinking like the next generation are, you know, access to so much more information, access to so much more like cross-pollination of ideas, so much more aware. Like my sister's 18 and she is so much smarter than me now, and just like partly because she's has so much more access to information. And
in reality, they just care about numbers, how much money you're going to make. There's business, there's research out there to show that there is a business case for diversity. They make more money. Companies make more money. So if you can translate that into like a presentation and go to your SLT and show within this organization, look at a comparable organization that is more diverse. And it shows that, research shows that companies that are more diverse are 42% more likely to be innovative. They make, I think, 16% more profit. And it's the truth also for if the company looks the same, if everyone is the same, they end up making less money. And this is what SLT understand. So presenting that information, I remember once I wanted to change a recruitment process, I literally had to present stats and info around why you need to do things more robust and how much more money that could mean that you would save if you do it this way. And that's how you would get the SLT involved. But then also you need to kind of find an ally. You need to find somebody that is a champion that you can build a kind of rapport and relationship with in that SLT, or get your manager or somebody else to do it that can kind of champion what you want.